Therapists of Reddit, what's been your biggest, I know I'm not supposed to judge, but holy shit moment? I recently had a man in his 40s who was attending family therapy with his 3 children admit that his last child, a girl, was an accident we tried to abort. We only wanted boys. The sad thing is, the girl didn't even look bothered. She had clearly heard it all before. They were attending family therapy as the girl was actively suicidal and they didn't know why. I heard concerning information about the way a child was being treated. Not my patient, but a sibling of the patient that I had never met. Called CPS and reported it that day, and the following day found out the child had died. It was traumatizing, and 6 years later I still think about it a lot. I had a client admit that they knowingly infected someone with HIV because they themselves were miserable and dealing with active drug addiction at the time, and they wanted someone else to be as unhappy as they were. I work as a mental health counselor. I am licensed as a marriage and family therapist at a middle school, ages 11, 14. I never judge any of the kids' actions, but some of these parents though. I've had kids literally tell me they're suicidal, and then I have to call their parent who's effectively their kid to get assessed. I also had a kid in the past whose parent was about to move across country for some woman they met on the internet and knew for 2 months. Some scary stuff. I work in prison. Anything to do with child sex offenses or animal abuse pisses me off. When clients come out very casually and say a family member that they've mentioned is still in their lives or word them when they were young. For the most part, I am able to continue having unconditional positive regard for my clients. I don't judge because they showed up or talking about it and want to better themselves. They're family/friends/partners. However, I'm totally judging. Some people are just cruel and not good, but those people would never end up in my office to begin with. I think that's the difference in the privilege I have as a private practice therapist though. I'm sure most of the stories on here will be from people who are working with populations that are mandated to go to therapy for one reason or another. When I was an intern in my MEVSW program, I had a 19-year-old client tell me she was pregnant. Didn't know who the dad was, but had narrowed it down to 3 guys, was not going to stop smoking meth, and had no intention of attending her OB-GYN appointments. However, she was going to keep the baby to let her mom raise it like she did with her other children. Nothing shocks me after 30 years in the field, so I never think holy shit. However, the most depressing thing I come across from time to time is the female patient who submits to an abusive relationship in the kink community. My very first intake session ever as an intern was someone telling me they had been hooking up with their cousins since they were kids. It was quite the introduction to being a therapist. My holy shit moments really aren't out of judgment for my clients. Lots of holy shit moments out of compassion for what people have been through. While trauma is not a competition to determine who has had it the worst, I can say that the stories of refugees from war-torn or deeply unsafe countries have left a profound impact on me. But I'm not sure holy shit sums up that response. And it's not like these individuals were immune to serious trauma prior to the conflict. My country is fricked up in a lot of ways, but for a lot of people it has provided an escape from an early and violent death. Saw a teen who had been sexually abused by their drug addict father tell me they wanted to join the military so they could kill people. After hearing their full backstory, I really couldn't blame them. A client left their pet rabbit on their balcony and knowingly let it starve to death. Didn't feel bad about it at all. I have worked in acute psych for the last 18 years and 25 years in the field. I have heard so much from so many people. The only real judgment I have of anyone these days is whether or not they are dangerous to be around. And if they are, I do have some strong opinions. Judgment is a funny thing. A person has to believe their perspective in some way is the correct right one to have. As far as I can tell, we're all just guessing at what it means to be a human being, trying to live a meaningful and fulfilling existence. Created, raised, and surrounded by other human beings. I'm not a therapist, but I schedule first-time therapy appointments. I had this moment a few years back when the parent of a 4-year-old child told me that they wanted to go right to medication and bypass therapy because they just didn't have the time. They also wanted to know if we would use charitable funds to pay for services in the kids' school. Typically, I would not judge a parent for this, but seeing as how the other parent's name and face were plastered everywhere around town, as they were running for an unpaid political position while living in a $1 million home, I went ahead and judged the shit out of them. I am sure you can guess the party affiliation, the one that promotes family values.